everybody, Germany's Coaster Yard here, coming at you with something a little different than my normal No Limits 2 content. So I'm actually going back to RollerCoaster Tycoon 3 today, and I am planning to start, or to turn this into a series. So I'm starting work on a new park called Germanator Studios. Um, you may remember back when I was only posting RollerCoaster Tycoon 3 content, I actually had a park called Germanator Studios that I showcased work from, and this is the fifth iteration of that studio park concept. So the one you would have seen was the second iteration. The first one is lost to time, unfortunately, and the third and fourth one have been completed on my own, but I didn't share them anywhere. And this is the beginnings of the fifth version. Now, what's different about this one and why I want to showcase it is this is actually going to be in a world 4 times bigger than a typical sandbox park. So I went into the scenario editor and created a giant world, the biggest one you can get. And I'll showcase everything here shortly. So what I want to do is not really restrict myself to one world or another, and I basically want to make an entire resort complex. So over here will be the theme park. You can see I've started work on it. We'll get into that in a little bit. Over here will be like a resort hotel or a set of them. And these are sort of the concrete foundations. So this is sort of the layout they're going to take. And there's nothing else yet. But in this area, back and to the left, I want to include a zoo. And I have some ideas, some creative ideas for enclosures and things I want to do with that. And I want to go more of an Animal Kingdom direction with that, where it'll be mostly zoo focused, but there'll be some rides and attractions that'll fit the theme of the lands. So it'll be like its own mini theme park. And over here I want to include some water parks that are their own separate thing. And then in the middle here, you can see where I've laid out the foundation for a sort of transport hub. So everything will be accessible via monorails from a building that I will put here. And you can already see I've laid out some monorails. And I'm going to have a few different lines. There's going to be a park line that will basically only shuttle you between the parks. And there will be a resort line. And that line will basically go from the hub to the resort stations, of which there are 2. And then it'll just go between the resorts. And then there will also be just a perimeter line that goes through every stop, and that's it. And this is all up in the air. It'll all be subject to change, but these are my general ideas. And then over here with the theme park, so my theme over here is going to be sort of a trip through time, through like the history of Earth. So the park over here, and I've already started on the entrance, but you can see I'm going to call it the Isle of Ages. And again, this is subject to change. This is just the name I came up with right now. And basically, and you can see sort of the clocks here, the crazy clock scenery item. And you'll come into this main area, and I don't think this area is going to have any specific theme. That's to be decided upon later. This will just be a generic sort of entry area for people to get into the park and sort of get situated and get their bearings. Then I'm going to have a dinosaur area here, a medieval area over here, and then we're going to go sort of pre-colonial here and do like a Salem witch trials type area, and that'll be using the spooky scenery. We may even include a haunted house type attraction. Then we are going to have a colonial themed section, a western themed section, a modern section, and then a future world. And one thing you may notice, so I sort of alluded to the fact that this big square is the size of a normal RollerCoaster Tycoon 3 sandbox park. It's actually slightly bigger. A typical park is 128 units by 128 units. this one is 140 by 140, and each of these colored segments along the edge are 10 units long. So these won't be here in the end, but they're just here as a reference point and sort of to mark the border. And that's also why I already built out the monorails and the transport, is it sort of establishes a border on this side. So I know I'm not going to build past here. But in terms of the actual size and border, it's actually going to be even smaller than this. So I want to have all of the main areas that guests can walk sort of constricted to about halfway between this body of water and the perimeter, maybe closer to 3/4. And then I want to close it off with a border and then use the remaining space to have sort of behind the scenes areas and service roads and even show buildings for indoor attractions. And that's, like I said, it's all subject to change based on feedback, etc. But I really want to focus this series on the design aspect and not so much the in-game function of the park. I mean, if we were focused on function, there wouldn't be a resort to build at all, because you can't have functioning hotels in RollerCoaster Tycoon 3. So this series is really focusing on the design aspect of things and just seeing how realistic we can make it. And I hope that in doing so, it can be inspiring to those of you who still play RollerCoaster Tycoon 3 or even other theme park simulator games. And hopefully I can pass on some insight or some ideas. But I'm going to be pretty open-minded about this, so if you guys have any suggestions, I welcome them, and you guys are free to let me know what you think. So I do want to go into a little bit of detail to start, just to sort of show off my front building idea here, and just to sort of give you guys an idea of some entrance building type things. So taking a look, we have a total of 16 ticket windows. Again, these are not functional within the game itself. They're just there for aesthetic purposes. There are also some windows in here right through the little entrance corridor that you could scan your tickets at. That's sort of how I'm thinking about it. You'll notice some doors here. I used the M. Brooks cheat code to place these on the pathway. So you can see there's actually a pathway in here. And if you come in here, you can see we just have some information booths. And there's another entrance over here that goes to the restrooms within the gate. And there's another set of restrooms right out here. This door, and these will all have labels outside of them so people can see what's inside. This goes down, it actually slopes down and is recessed into the ground. This is our first aid station. And the reason I did this is because it's a very tall building. So if I didn't, the top of it would be poking out the top of these roof pieces and it just wouldn't look great. So that was my reasoning for doing that. And there's nothing in here currently, but I want to use this to be like a front gift shop. So kind of like when you, if any of you have been to Kings Island, right, when you go in the main entrance, there's this gift shop directly to your right. And, during the summer they sell like ponchos and other things that may be of use to you. So it'll be sort of like part gift shop, part convenience store. Just that kind of shop. And then this door does not go to anywhere. So one thing I'll do, I think mostly I'll keep this series to weekly updates or periodic updates where, like I've done here, I've built stuff and then I'm showing you. But if I want to showcase some building styles where you can make your buildings look good and function well for your park, I may do some tutorials or just showcase the process of designing and building things in that method, among other things. So like I said, this is the 5th iteration of this park, and I'm really going all out for this one. So I think I have a lot of insight to share. Like I said, that can help you with RollerCoaster Tycoon 3 or even other games, etc. So you can see I've started on this park, and I've started on sort of the main hub within the park itself. There's one lonely ride in here. One thing I wanted to showcase, and something I focus on too when I design my RollerCoaster Tycoon parks, are sight lines. So what do things look like to the guests? You can see here there's this giant square cut into the top of the rock, and it definitely does not make this thing look natural. But if we go down, if you give me a moment, and we go down to the guest level, you can see that you can't even see the top of the rock. So so it looks like a natural rock from the guest perspective. And I try to consider sightlines through everything I build in my roller coaster tycoon parks. But one of the things I'm going to be doing with this rock is I want to put a mix master display in here. You can see all the little star lamps that are already embedded into the rock. If I turn it to nighttime, you can see this thing is glowing and shimmering, and it sort of looks mystical. And I want this to sort of be the centerpiece that ties the entire theme of the park together. Like maybe this is a magical rock that's allowing you to travel through time, and just to have something neat in the middle of the lake, but something that doesn't stand out too much, something that looks like it fits there. And like I said, I want to put like firework launchers and stuff in here, so when there's a nighttime display, it'll all emanate from this rock in the middle, and it'll be visible from everywhere in the park, similar to something like the Disney fireworks. Yeah, so with that, that's everything I have to share with you today. Hopefully, I can showcase some more of the actual building process in the next video. But until then, I hope you guys have a great day or a great week or great however long between episodes. Yeah, take care. Bye.